didn't set out to be a cab driver. It was not a profession. It was a job. I was working to try to be a sculptor, and I wasn't making much of a living. I needed to do something else. So I took a job driving a cab. Well, it was an August night that the story took place. So I get this call at 2:30 or 2 o'clock to go to this address, and I said sure, I'd take the run, and went to this apartment building. It was like a fourplex. Well, I got to this building, and there was no one there. So I went up and knocked on the door. The door opens, and it's this old woman. You get a feel for people and situations. And there was an air of ineffable loneliness about this woman. And she said, I'm leaving for good. I'm not coming back. So I knew I was taking someone on her last ride from that home. This wasn't something that I could take lightly. And she told me she had no family, she had nowhere else to go, and that the doctor had said she should go to this nursing home. She gave me an address, and I prepared to leave, and she said, could you go through downtown?
I would like to.
I said, well, it's not the shortest way.
Kind of out of the way.
I said, I know, but I'd like you to drive me by a few places.
Okay, sure.
And it became apparent to me that this was not going to be a normal journey. And there was no way that I was going to charge this woman for this fare. I looked at her in the rearview mirror, and what I saw was a woman who was looking at her home for the last time. So we set off through the city, and she would direct me, oh, go down this road, go over here, and she'd point to a house and say, this was where my husband and I lived when we were first married. She took me by an old hotel where she had been an elevator operator years ago. She told me the stories. She made me go by an old dance hall that had been converted to a furniture store. And she talked about going dancing, ballroom dancing with her husband. We drove for about 2 hours, and we pulled up to the convalescent home. So I went around the door, helped her out, and I knew this was, she and I were going to part. I was never going to see this woman again.
I have to pay you.
Oh, no, you don't owe me anything.
Oh, yes, I do. You have to make a living.
There are other passengers.
Oh, you're such a good boy.
And just without thinking, I gave her a big hug. I could feel her holding on to me as her last touch with the outside world. A woman with no family, going into an institution. And I knew that was the closing of a life, and that I'd been part of the closing of the life. She was going in there forever, and I was getting back in a cab. Compassion is a learned skill. Through empathy with another person's situation, you can exercise compassion, and you can give something to them. People feel they're living in a mean world, and that we're selling self-reliance as a virtue, and really what we're selling is a kind of selfishness. Giving is ultimately an act of creativity. It's the act of creating something new where nothing existed before. You're loving the world into existence when you give. And that, to me, is the artistry of ordinary living.